Welcome back to the breakdown. It is Tuesday, August 20th. We have a 15-game card. We're going to talk about every single game today. Look at the starting pitching. Look at how the teams are doing against lefties, against righties. Look at how the bullpens are doing and everything in between. You guys know the breakdown by now. Hopefully, if this is your first time, definitely go down below, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. Every game is timestamped down below in the description. So if you just want to jump around to Guardians-Yankees game, you can do that, or jump around wherever you seek. They're all timestamped down below. And as always, we wrap up the video, talk about some hot and cold hitters and some good and bad matchups versus the pitchers on the mound. As always, my name's Austin. Do me a favor, subscribe, like. Let's dive in. If you need any sportsbook deposit matches or some daily fantasy deposit matches, things like that, go use the links down below. It supports the channel. But we're diving in the first game on the slate, D-backs and Marlins. Now, this game is a little suspect. And what I mean by that is yesterday, this was one of the only high-scoring games, 15 runs combined. Now you're dropping the total of 7.5 for two guys with a 5+ ERA. I am a Edward Cabrera hater, so I'm not going to come out here and say that I think he's great. But his props that he has listed, a 1.5 earned runs line, 4.5 hits allowed line, very suspect. Now, I was considering taking the D-backs first 5 team total over 1.5 in this one. It is a little bit juiced, -150. I just know the moment I do that, Edward Cabrera is going to get lucky. And what I mean by that is if you look at Edward Cabrera, his market, how he pitches, if he doesn't get the strikes, the whiffs, which the Arizona Diamondbacks, not a team that have struck out much this year, he gives up a lot of hard contact. Now, sometimes he gets lucky. Those are hard contact ground balls. Boom, double play. That's what happened when he faced the Padres when I had the over in that game. Yeah, no, he just kept getting ground ball left and right. It was like 105 off the bat, right to the second baseman, double play. If the D-backs were able to get that ball a little bit up over the infielders, they will get plenty of runs off Edward Cabrera. Again, this line being at 7.5, very suspect with those 2 ERAs, and yesterday a lot of runs. Probably avoiding it, but I do lean the D-backs here. But I do want to note, Marlins have been good against lefties recently. They've been able to tag a lot of the lefty starters they've seen. Not my favorite game here. Wouldn't be shocked if the Marlins somehow won here. Again, I would not back the Marlins because I hate Edward Cabrera. That's just kind of how I feel about that game. Next one, we have the Rockies taking on the Nationals with the battle of the lefties. Austin Gomber, great first name, versus DJ Hurst. 8.5 total. Nationals are pretty sizable favorites. I'm not sure I'd ever want to back the Nats at -155. Honestly, if anything, I see value on the Rockies just because I don't see these two teams being leaps and bounds different from each other. But I don't know if I'd want to back the Rockies here with Gomber. Gomber, whatever it is, he has terrible numbers on the road, but good at home. And Coors Field makes no sense. Now, the Nationals have been, hit or miss offense. I feel like some days you see them put up 7, other days you see them put up 1 or 2. Austin Gomber, not a guy I really trust a ton. DJ Hurst, he's going to go 5 innings, probably is an under and outs juiced at 15.5. He's not my favorite pitcher that the Nats have to offer, but the Nats bullpen's been much better than the Rockies. It's not a surprise to see them as bigger favorites at home. Again, I just don't think the Nats are -160 worth laying that against the Rockies. But again, if you are a system play, I always fade the Rockies. Not probably a bad system there. Again, I just don't think this is one that I really want to touch. We're almost at the end of August. The Rockies and Nationals games. Come on, guys. We got to be better. Next game, we have Guardians and Yankees. This one is an interesting one. Now, I was going to lock in Luis Gil's under and outs. It was 17.5 last night, and they dropped it down to 16.5. I could see him going 5 2/3, and that would probably make me punch something. Luis Gil, I have Detroit here. Obviously, he's the Yankees pitcher, but Luis Gil is just the guy that I can't trust. I've talked about this plenty of times. I can't trust him. He just feels he looks good, and then boom, something happens, and he forgets how to pitch. And a team like the Guardians that don't strike out, if they can get some base runners, something they have not done much of recently, I think they'll be able to put up some runs on Luis Gil. On the flip side, Matthew Boyd, his 1.69 ERA, don't let it deceive you. He's only made 1 start to his name against the Cubs, and he gave up a lot of hard contact in that game, just managed to get the outs. That is the Cubs. Today he'll face a Yankees team that's been pretty dry the last 2 games, scored 0 and then only 2 runs in that Williamsport game. Returning back home, I like the Yankees to put up runs here. The fact that they're -165, pretty good telltale sign that I think the Yankees are scoring runs. So I don't mind maybe backing their first 5 team total, or maybe their full game team total. I think they put up runs. Cleveland has not been good against righties, which is why I'm not taking Luis Gil's under and outs. But again, I like the Yanks today. I think they win this game. Could win it convincingly. That bullpen, though, for the Yanks, that's really why I'm not taking them -1.5, or heck, even the money line at -165. That bullpen, It's not been great for him, and Cleveland is a very good bullpen. So probably a game I'd pass on, but a parlay leg I don't mind. Yankees, maybe their team total, an alt team total or something like that for them to score 3 or 4. Pretty confident they do that against Matthew Boyd. I just don't think he's a great pitcher. One great start, good for you. Again, it was against the Cubs. Now you got to face the Yankees offense. It's been reeling the last 2 games. Feels like a big Yankee spot. Next game was the scene of one of our victories, Reds and Blue Jays. Yesterday, one of my favorite pick of the day was Reds team total over 3.5, and got it done in the 6th inning. Put up a 6-piece on Mr. Kevin Gausman and the Burr guy they brought him after, who just wanted to give up max doubles. Hey, respect it. Today we got a 7.5 total. Carson Spears versus Jose Barrios. I've been a Barrios hater. He's always given up 2 or 3 earned runs. If you want to run back Reds team total, I don't hate it. Barrios is just a guy that I don't think is all that good. He's decent. His numbers are decent. He's basically what his numbers are. A 3.85 ERA. He's going to give up 2, maybe 3 in his 6 innings, and then turn it over to the bullpen, which sometimes you need guys like that. Is he going to shut out the Reds? Very unlikely. Carson Spears on the other side, I don't think he's all that good. Toronto has been mediocre, for being honest, the last few weeks against righties. Didn't really get much going yesterday against the Aguilar guy that the Reds called up and he started. Again, at this game, I like the Reds. I think they once again score some runs. So they win this game. I don't know if they win the first 2, but Barrios is a guy that, like I said, he's going to give up 2 or 3, and then you just ask him to get 1 in that bullpen of the Jays, which I honestly, as I talked about yesterday, I don't think is all that good. Next game, we have the O's taking on the Mets. Dean Kramer versus Jose Quintana. Again, the Mets are favored here. They were favored yesterday. They won that one on a walk-off homer. Wasn't that Francisco Alvarez? He was the walk-off guy. He went nuts after the home run. Again, another lefty on the mound for the Mets and Quintana. Quintana's coming off 3 straight bad starts. And I almost backed the O's in some capacity today. But sometimes I feel like when you see guys coming off 3 straight bad starts, they just figure it out in that 4th start. It's like, oh, they've been terrible the last 3. Let's fade them. And then they figure it out. Dean Kramer on the flip side, I have no good read on Dean Kramer. Every time I back Dean Kramer, worst pitcher of all time. If I fade him, don't worry. He's giving you 6 scoreless, if not more. The Mets have obviously been decent against righties. Baltimore's been decent against lefties. I don't mind an over in this spot. Both bullpens, not something you can really trust. Yesterday didn't go over. Was that 4-3 final? Or maybe it was a 5-4. I don't remember what exact. I like an over though in this game. This is one of the few games I do like an over. I think we see runs on Kramer, runs on Quintana, get it to the bullpens. It's going to be some runs opportunities there. Do like an over in this spot. I don't know if I'd lean towards back of the O's, but whenever the O's are underdogs, I don't know what the record is like that, but it can't be too good if I were to guess. Next game, you have Phillies and the Braves. Now, I feel like the common sense thing and the people, the squares out there, they'll look at this, see Zach Wheeler on the mound, going against a Braves team now down Austin Riley for probably the rest of the season. Easy. Just load Phillies ML into your parlays. They're minus 130 with Wheeler. Sure, take it. Ronaldo Lopez will make his return. Hasn't pitched in about a month. He obviously has really good numbers. The Phillies, decent numbers against righties recently, but I don't know if I trust that team at all. Atlanta's been decent against righties, have a lot of familiarity with Zach Wheeler. This is honestly a divisional game I'm avoiding. I do lean the Phillies if I had to bet them. I just think they have the better lineup and the better pitcher. Bullpens, though, have been both pretty dang bad. So it wouldn't shock me if this game went over. Wheeler does have a 2.5 earned runs line. Sure, juiced on the under. But the fact that he has a 2.5 earned runs line makes me think, hey, maybe the Braves get something on him today. Braves do, like I said, have seen him a ton, so they know what pitches that are coming their way, whether or not they can hit them. Last year, it's like, sure, they could hit them. This year, the Braves have been very inconsistent. I do lean maybe some runs, though, in this game. A 7.5 total, 2 on the starters, 1 or 2 on the bullpens, and maybe get some extras or you get an 8 total. That's a divisional game like that. Braves obviously need to win some in this series, or else playoff hopes are clinging on to a thread right now. Next game, you have Brewers and Cardinals. You have a 7.5 total here. Frankie Montas versus Eric Betty. I kind of like the Cards here. The Cards have lost a lot recently. They've lost, I think, 6 of 7 versus the Brew Crew, but Frankie Montas is an auto fade. You throw him on the mound, he stinks. The Cardinals will now have seen him a 3rd time. He's came off a good start against the Dodgers, gave up 0 earned runs, technically 3 unearned runs in the 1st inning, then dialed it in. Eric Fetty's been hit or miss. He is a very good home pitcher, which he'll be at home here against in Busch Stadium. Do like the Cards, though. The fact that they're favored here, I feel like a lot of people want to be back in the Brewers. They've won 5 or 6 straight. Wouldn't be shocked if the Cardinals win this game. They are kind of out of the playoffs, but I think they could win this game. Their bats are starting to hit a little bit better. Only scored 1 run on Clayton Kershaw, but Against the righty at home, Montes, they've seen him a ton. I think they get some runs going here. So I do like the Reds, or not the Reds, the Cardinals on the ML today. Next game, you have the Pirates taking on the Rangers. Pirates, very good against lefties. We'll see Cody Bradford. Mitch Keller's been terrible on the road. Rangers have been good against righties. Mitch Keller, I think his last start was the one we took the over in San Diego and to give 8 earned runs. So I'm inclined to say Mitch Keller will pitch better today. Yesterday, what was it? 4-3. Yesterday had a good amount of runs. I think 4-3 final. I think the Rangers won that game. I don't mind maybe back in the Pirates here. I've talked about the Rangers before. They're a team that I feel like they never score in the first 5, then they just score a ton of runs in the 6th or 7th. Maybe just start live betting their team total over after 5 when they're scoreless, because they always score in the 6th or 7th. They score it's every game. But the Pirates are just, these are two teams that I feel like they're in a very similar spot. They aren't going to make the playoffs. Still have a good amount of talent on their roster. Really disappointing season, I think, for both of the teams. I mean, Pittsburgh, they always feel like they look good. Oh, we're going to make the playoffs, and then they reel in August. Again, the Rangers don't have anything to play for. They're not making the playoffs unless they win their next 30 games or something ridiculous. I do think there's runs, though, in this game. Bradford and Keller, I think they give up some runs, and there should be runs in that bullpen. Next game, we have Tigers and Cubs. I won't waste a lot of your time here because I don't have a starter listed for the Tigers. The Cubs do have Javier Assad going today. Count me out. I don't even want to talk about this game. I have no idea. Javier Assad is, no. No. I hate both these two teams. Tigers coming off the walk-off in Williamsport. Cubs are just an offense that you never know what you're getting from them. And I can't really predict who the heck the Tigers are going to start because they got no starter listed. So I'll just skip to the next game. Angels and Royals. I like runs in this game. Tyler Anderson will give up his fair share of runs. He's not been great the last month. Had a really good start to the year. Hasn't been great recently. Cole Reagan's obviously a well-known name. Angels tagged him hard back in, I don't know, that was like May, I think. They tagged him for 7 earned runs. And the Angels have quietly been pretty good against lefties. Look at those numbers. 3rd in batting average, 9th in OPS, 10th in WRC plus. They've been really good against left-handed pitching. They're struggling to get the timely hits, but we're able to get a couple yesterday. Got 3. I think it was 3-5 final. Give me an over in this game. I think there's no runs galore. I think Reagan's gives up his 2 or 3. Anderson gives up his 2 or 3. I think the bullpens are liable for 1 or 2 apiece there too. I like an over in that game in Kansas City. My favorite play, worth noting, is in this game. It is a player prop. Check out the best bets video posted right after this one. Next game, we have the Red Sox taking on the Astros. We have Nick Pivetta versus Ronel Blanco. Blanco's been a consistent 2 earned runs the last few starts. Not last few, like 8 or 9 starts. Red Sox, we know how good they are against righties. They've been really good. Houston has been good against right-handed pitching as well. Nick Pivetta has pretty good splits against a couple of them. I don't mind maybe another over here. They went over yesterday, I believe. It's just hard not to back an over with. Sure, Pivetta could pitch a masterclass, but that bullpen, 7.5 ERA has been terrible for the Red Sox. And Houston, sure, love them or hate them, but I think they'll be able to score some runs here. Pavetta's given up the home runs too. So if you're just backing like both the score in the first 5, I don't hate that either here. Pavetta's given up a ton of home runs, and we know Houston has the guys that had a home run, but Yainer Diaz had the walk-off yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Do like runs again in this game. I think you can maybe get an 8 total, which is a little bit suspect, but again, both pitchers I think give up at least 2. And then that Boston bullpen, if you have the over, they will come in and help you out. Next game, we have Rays and A's. Yesterday, I talked about in the breakdown. I said, this is 100% a game that the Rays lose. They're facing a guy in Joe Boyle with his 7.5 ERA. Yeah, sure enough, they lost it. They lost 3-0. We had the under in this game. Today, I don't mind running back the under. Shane Baz versus Joey Estes. If you look at Estes splits, home road, he is one of the most astounding home road splits. On the road, the guy's like a 7.5 ERA. At home, he might be the best pitcher of all time. It's like in the 1s or low 2s. So again, A's short underdogs here, plus 100. I like another under in this spot. I just don't like the A's bats right now. Shane Baz, is he the greatest pitcher ever? No, but the A's bats are not hot, and the Rays bullpen's been very good at holding things down. I like another under here. I think this is another game that duplicates the under. If you can get an 8 line, run that. Twins and Padres. We have a even split, minus 110. Martin Perez, who's been really good for the Padres. He has a ton of Ks with them. They've been, forget what pitch they're making him throw a lot more. I think his changeup, he's thrown a lot of it, and he's gotten the Ks. Now, the Twins, all season long, have been a really good team against lefties. Batting average, not so much recently, but been really good against lefties. They'll face, obviously, the lefty Martin Perez. Bailey Ober's been very good, but he'll have his job against the Padres team that's really good against righties as well. Yesterday, what did you see? It went over. Twins scored in the 9th inning, I think. I like the Twins here. I like the Twins on the ML. I like Bailey Ober. I don't think Martin Perez is as good as he's shown the last few starts with the Padres. I like the Twins against lefties. I think there's runs here. I do like the Twins on the ML. I think they might get even, if they get more juice throughout the day, I would even like it even more. White Sox and Giants. Davis Martin going against Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray with a high K prop, 6.5. Can't blame him. I mean, this White Sox team has been terrible against lefties. Look at that WRC plus 32. Forget who's worse than them. I do not remember. Actually, you know what? I think I still have my tabs up. The only team with a worse WRC plus, so that's against lefties, is going to be any guesses? Tampa Bay Rays with a 24. What are we doing, guys? We got to be better. Giants are still not a team I trust. Give me an under. Hammer the under. Tigers bad. Davis Martin, not great, but he'll pitch better than Jonathan Cannon did yesterday. Game went over yesterday. I don't know if they can manage 2 straight overs. Give me the under. Hammer. Maxwell. Final game on the slate. Mariners taking on the Dodgers. If you want a team, both teams to score in the first 5, this is it. Because yesterday they couldn't get anything going, and I needed it as the parlay of the day to get the sweep. No shot. Bryce Miller versus Walker Buehler. Bryce Miller, terrible splits on the road. Walker Buehler, terrible. Not just on the road or at home. He's just bad. Now the Mariners, we'll talk about some hot and cold hitters. Their whole lineup is actually on the cold lineup. You'll see what I mean in a second. Dodgers couldn't get much going yesterday against Brian Wu. He's obviously been really good. Bryce Miller, like I said, not great on the road. I want to say he has a pretty high ERA on the road. I'll type it in. Let's see what we got here. Pretty sure his ERA. I mean, I swear I look at way too many numbers, but yeah, ERA on the road 4.76, at home at 2.09. So again, not a guy that's been great on the road. I think you see runs in this game from both sides. I like the over 8.5. Give me runs and give me plenty of them. That would be my favorite pick in that game. Finally, hot and cold hitters. Masataka Yoshida, give him some round of applause. He was terrific in the Baltimore Orioles series, batting 647 the last few days. Bobby Witt Jr.'s in there. Trey Turner, probably not a guy I'd want to back today on the road. Trey sucks. Aaron Judge, Marcell Ozuna, and James Wood, other guys that are swinging pretty hot bats. Cold hitters. Brian Hayes and Josh Bell, not very hot. Josh Bell returning back to Miami. Like I said, half the Mariners rosters here, Randy, Cal Riley, Justin Turner, all guys that are sucking. And Ellie De La Cruz, about 100. Ellie, I do want to say shout out to you. You got a sack fly when I needed it most. Guy on third, 1 out, and he put the ball in play. Got me the sack fly, which gave me some hope for the Reds to score 4 yesterday, and they obviously came through. Those are some hot and cold hitters for y'all. And then finally, good and bad matchups. Not a ton of good ones out there. Travis d'Arnaud, the number 1 guy I pointed out, he's 9 for 23. 2 homers against Zach Wheeler. Ty France, pretty good splits against Barrios. It seems like Ty France has good splits against all the Blue Jays pitchers, so maybe he's just cracked in Toronto. And then William Contreras, good splits against Eric Fetty. Robbie Grossman, no idea if he's in the lineup, but decent splits against Mitch Keller. Guys that are cold, I just talked with Marcell Ozuna, scorching hot. Maybe today calms down. 9 for 53 against Wheeler. Altuve and Yordan Alvarez skipping over Goldschmidt. Not great splits against Pavetta. Goldie's been bad, but he's been kind of bad all year. He's probably faced Montes a lot this year, so I would say probably out of those 8 PAs, I'd imagine 5 or 6 of them have come this season. So not doing a lot. I think Schwarber versus Ronaldo Lopez, 0 for 6. Maybe figure something out today. Kyle Schwarber, though, I don't trust the Phillies on the road. Count me out. That team, I feel like they can't get any hits on the road. But we'll see. I'm curious how that Braves-Phillies game goes. That series is going to be fun for a lot of different reasons. Obviously not as impactful as last year, but the Braves still are. They're still around. They're still hunting. You never know what they could do if they get to the postseason. They have the bats. They have the experience there. So that's going to be the breakdown. I appreciate you for tuning in. If you had missed our best bets video, it should be posted after this one. We also been posting a lot of YouTube shorts on here, some NFL futures. So if you've been missing those, you should go tap into those, watch the NFL futures, see what things I'm locking in this season. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. It's Tuesday. It's Dinger Tuesday. Drop your favorite Dinger Tuesday plays in the comments. Check out our best bets video when it's live in a little bit. Have a great day. See you in the next one. Peace.